Ya çocuğu
Skip verelim.
bak
Evet arkadaşlar
hayır
merhabalar. Bildiğiniz üzere Kuzey Amerika'yı izleyecektik. Hatta yayınımızı bir verelim hemencik. Hemencik. Bir dakika şu yayını bir dakika. Şu yayın şurada kalmış. Tamam. Barışçı izliyordum. O yüzden bu kalmış. Şimdi şu şampiyonu bir dakika. Şampiyon bir dakika ya. Şuna gireceğiz, tamam mı? Buradan şuna basacağız. Evet arkadaşlar 7 dakika kaldı göreceğiniz üzere. Ben size hemen tahminleri göstereyim. Tabi oynayabiliyor musunuz şu an? Hiçbir fikrim yok. Ama benim tahminlerim artık gittiler. Benim tahminlerim bu şekilde. Büyük bir ihtimal böyle biteceğini düşünüyorum. Burada zaten Rego oynayan arkadaşlar bıraksın bu oyunu zaten. Yani TRB kazanacağı çok belli. LGN kazanacağı çok belli. KCP zaten birinci her türlü kazanır. Rek sonuncu her türlü bu ikinci zaten bu alır. TRB LG'yi alacağını düşünüyorum. KCP birinci bunu alır, ikinciyi alır yani. Tabi hiç belli olmaz bu arada arkadaşlar, yani bu da kazanabilir, bu da kazanabilir. Hiçbir şey olmaz. Şimdi arkadaşlar Mustafa'yı bekleyeceğiz. 5 dakikaya gelecek o da. Ben burada KCP'nin kazanacağını düşünüyorum. Bağlantıyı devralım. 6 dakika sonra başlıyor. Mustafa da 5 dakikaya gelecek. Biz de o sırada gelin şuradan. Hesaplar varsa hesap puanlayabilirim. Şu an çok müsaitim. Bayağı müsaitim hem de. Şu an beni biri izliyor mu? Bakalım. Şu an biri izliyor. 6 dakika sonra başlıyor. Mustafa da 5 dakikaya gelecek. Kendimize kaldı. O sırada gelin şuradan. Hesaplar varsa hesap puanlayabilirim. Şu an çok müsaitim. Bayağı müsaitim. Mustafa aramış. Şu an beni biri geliyorum arkadaşlar. Bakalım. Geliyor Mustafa. Şu an biri izliyor. 6 dakika sonra başlıyor. Mustafa 5 dakikaya gelecek. Kendimize kaldı. O sırada gelin şuradan. Hesaplar varsa hesap puanlayabilirim. Şu an çok müsaitim. Bayağı müsaitim. Mustafa aramış. Şu an beni biri geliyorum arkadaşlar. Bakalım. Geliyor Mustafa. Şu an biri izliyor. 6 dakika sonra başlıyor. Mustafa 5 dakikaya gelecek. Kendimize kaldı. O sırada gelin şuradan. Hesaplar varsa hesap puanlayabilirim. Şu an çok müsaitim. Bayağı müsaitim. Mustafa aramış. Şu an beni biri geliyorum arkadaşlar. Bakalım. Geliyor Mustafa. Şu an biri izliyor. 6 dakika sonra başlıyor. Mustafa 5 dakikaya gelecek.
Geldik arkadaşlar.
Şimdi Brawl Stars Şampiyonası'nı izleyeceğiz. Usta senin tahminlerin nasıl? Bayağı müsaitim. Mustafa aramış.
Ya ben direkt birinci turda Tribe'ı seçtim. İkincide LG,
Ya arkadaşlar
üçüncü
birinci zaten
KCP, dördüncü ELV.
ben
Bence birinci
KCP'nin kazanacağını
KCP
düşünüyorum.
dedim ben.
Bence KCP kazanacak.
Ben şu an finale Tribe'la GCP çıkar dedim. KCP kazanır dedim.
Ya KCP zaten
Ama aynısını yapmışız, aynısını yapmışız.
acaba neden?
Acaba.
Acaba yani çok iyiyiz. Şimdi arkadaşlar biz bu turda ben bir şey oynadım. Şu Güney Amerika'yı oynadım. Güney Amerika'dan toplam 2200 topladım. Şimdi bir daha 2200 oynarsam 4400. Ama şahsen ben daha demin çok büyük hatalar da yaptım. O yüzden şimdi full gelirse toplarız bütün hepsini. İnşallah full gelir. Şu Kuzey Amerika başlasın, 4 dakika kalmış ya. Hesap puanlamak isteyen varsa alabilirim.
Abi 190 kalmış ya. 10 daha
Şimdi bir daha
bir tane daha
2200 oynarsam
startım
4400. Ama şahsen
Şimdi
ben
arkadaşlar,
daha
ben
bakalım
tuvalete
hatalar
gidip
da yaptım. O yüzden şimdi full gelirse
ben
toplarız
tuvalete
bütün
gidip
hepsini.
geliyorum.
Tamam, inşallah full gelir. 4 dakika var Kuzey Amerika başlasın, 4 dakika kalmış ya. Hesap puanlamak isteyen varsa alabilirim.
Abi 190 kalmış ya. 10 daha
Şimdi bir daha
bir tane daha
2200 oynarsam
startım
4400. Ama şahsen
Şimdi
ben
arkadaşlar,
daha
ben
bakalım
tuvalete
hatalar
gidip
da yaptım. O yüzden şimdi full gelirse
ben
toplarız
tuvalete
bütün
gidip
hepsini.
geliyorum.
Tamam, inşallah full gelir. 4 dakika var Kuzey Amerika başlasın, 4 dakika kalmış ya. Hesap puanlamak isteyen varsa alabilirim. 2
Abi
kullanıcı.
190 kalmış ya. 10 daha
Şimdi bir
basar, bir tane daha
200
starter
oynarsam
bence.
4400 ama şahsen
Şimdi
ben
arkadaşlar,
daha
ben
bakalım
tuvalete
oralarda
gidip
yaptım. O yüzden şimdi full başlasın, 4 dakika kalmış ya. Hesap puanlamak isteyen varsa alabilirim.
Abi 190 kalmış ya. 10 daha
Şimdi bir
basar, bir tane daha
200
starter
oynarsam
bence.
4400 ama şahsen
Şimdi
ben
arkadaşlar,
daha
ben
bakalım
başladım şimdi.
oralarda yaptım. O yüzden şimdi full başlasın, 4 dakika kalmış ya. Hesap puanlamak isteyen varsa alabilirim.
Geldim ben. Abi 190 kalmış ya. 10 daha
Şimdi bir
basar, bir tane daha
200
starter
oynarsam
bence.
4400 ama şahsen
Şimdi
ben
arkadaşlar,
daha
ben
bakalım
başladım şimdi.
oralarda yaptım. O yüzden şimdi full başlasın, 4 dakika kalmış ya. Hesap puanlamak isteyen varsa alabilirim.
Geldim ben. Abi 190 kalmış ya. 10 daha
Sen mi açtın lan şeyi?
neyi?
Neydi onun adı ya? Tamam ben açmışım, ben onu kapattım. Amerika. As bayraklar as. İnşallah doğru yaparız ya hepsini. Doğru yaparsak mükemmel olur. Bu arada bir tane maçı doğru yaparsan zaten 150 alıyorsun. F11'e bas bir de.
Ha, tamam. Ama şeyi de basayım, şuna da basayım.
Onu da gösterebilirsin ya, yanda şey büyütme ekranından küçültme ekranına geçiyor. Hadi bakalım. Şimdi arkadaşlar şey gösteriyor işte. 348 Pioneers birinci, Elevated ikinci, Tribe Gaming üçüncü. Ben Pioneers bence tur geçerim. Power Match, Format, 8 team, 8 tane takım var yani. İlk 5 falan filan. Daha başlamadı herhalde. Ha, 1 dakika sonra sunucular gelecek Mustafa. Sonra 5 dakikaya da bir tur başlayacak. Hadi bakalım. Şöyle bir dakika geliyorum. Tamamdır, geldim. Şimdilik. Aman. 66 kişi. Dur bakalım. Sen mi izliyorsun yayını ya?
Ne benim arkadaşım
Bir kullanıcı izliyor. Bu arada Brawl Bot burada arkadaşlar. Şu Hayran'ın bir şeyine bakalım ya. Hayran'ın profili bayağı düşmüş Hayran. Daha başlamadı değil mi? Ya 2 saniye.
Hayran bir kaya kasıyor.
Sunucular geliyor. Kaç?
Hayran ikinci round başlıyor diye bir kulübü açtı. 200 kaya kasacak diyor.
Kasayla. Şu hesap bu arada yazık etti.
Some seriously spicy stuff. An absolute masterclass. The place where teams from across the
200K
globe
yapar
come
bu
to
arada
battle it
ya.
out for their shot at glory.
Oh,
Oh, kidding. And a
Hayır,
piece
kendine
of up
yazık
to
etti.
$2 million in prize.
Hadi bakalım.
No pressure, guys. No pressure. This is the feeling. It's beautiful. The once in a lifetime
Şimdi
feeling
arkadaşlar
of
işte
lifting the trophy
animasyon
at the
yapıyor.
Brawl Stars
Birazdan
World
şey
Finals.
yapacağız.
Here comes the push. Here's the
Sunucular
damage.
gelecek ve maçı anlatacaklar, sunacaklar yani.
This is now the crunch time. This is the game.
Immediately taken down. Still not going to fall. He refuses to die.
The game
İki kullanıcı
you love.
izliyor. Selam.
This is the Brawl Stars
İnşallah henüz
Championship.
izlemiyordur da ünlü olmuş.
Guys, no pressure. This is ready to brawl. Feeling.
Evet. Devam
Well,
ki.
folks, welcome once again to the Brawl Stars Championship powered by the Snapdragon Pro Series. It is time to decide our monthly champion in North America, which also means this is our final show for our monthly finals before we start to turn our attention to LCQ and the World Finals. Sad, of course, but great to be here. See Ubi, who is ready, set, and Kenny. Guys, very quickly, we have persisted
Ali kim
over
ya?
the course of this entire weekend with these outfits. We're here to tell you
yazmıyor ki,
why.
Uber
I'm
yazıyor.
going to make sure my bow tie is askew
Uber.
constantly to upset those with OCD. But again, we're celebrating some classic Brawl this month. We're throwing it back to 2019.
Hayırdır
That's our
Ali'nin
Kairos
alakası?
here on the screen. Guys, if it weren't for you, I'd be wearing
İlk
a
maç
comfortable
başlıyor Mustafa.
flower shirt.
4,5
You
dakika var.
in the crowd might feel any which way about that. You might be happy, you might be proud of
Bakalım,
Kairos
bir dakika.
for forcing us to go through this, or you might be like me and say,
Bende
I
de
can't bust out
dondu
some
ha.
ridiculous
Bende
thing,
daha
blazing
donmadı
the
da
French
bir
paintings.
dakika.
Either way,
Şu
we
ayranın
now
bir
need to turn our
hesabına
attention
bakalım
to some
hadi.
pretty serious business, guys. But before we talk about the serious
Hedefim
side, we've got
liderlik
something a little bit
tavırlarından
more
yerel
fun coming
TR'ye
up. So
bak.
after all the monthly polls are done and after
Hesap
LCQ,
10'da
in
8.
September,
35 altına 35
September
yap.
spectacle. September 28 and 29, we'll be having an invitational, featuring all of our partnered organizations and other top placing teams from each region. We'll be seeing never before seen 5v5 gameplay featuring modifiers and bounties to make it all the more epic. So make sure you check that out. For our competitors, there's some prize money on the line, a lot of incentive for teams to take it seriously. I'm looking forward to see how our teams of 5 actually form. Do we see maybe Corey come back in and help Tribe out? Maybe they loop someone else in. You know, I mean, that's a fun part for me as well. Should be a bit of
Geldim
a
geri.
who's who of the Brawl Stars world.
Şimdi
All right, we're 3 minutes in now. You
Dönmene
guys can
çok
start talking.
sevindim.
You can
Buyurun.
finally start talking. Ready, set, Kenny. Great to have you guys here. Ready to talk about that format here as well, and we should probably start talking about what's on the line.
Asli falan yapmış.
Sure, it's the same format as
Ne?
usual. We're talking power match, like in your ranked games.
Sırf
We're also
falan
going through an
olmuş.
8-team
Ne
single
yapmışım, ne
elimination
yapmışım?
bracket. We'll be starting in the quarterfinals and moving all the way through the grand finals, best of 5 style.
Street
all the
mi?
way.
O ne lan?
Now, Kenny, get us up to speed on what is happening in North America, because last month was very important and it really sets the stage for just what's on the line here in July.
It was a really spicy month, and of course, with Pioneers doing as well as they did, kind of setting themselves up for a
5000
postseason
sprey
run.
veriyor.
I think this is a team that was kind of on the fringe this year of being one of those top 4 teams, but they have more than proven
2000
themselves here
3000
with big wins across the board in
Bir tane
last month's
sprey
bracket. You did a
1000
great
veriyor.
job of bringing that in while I was traveling over to
Bir tane
EMEA
rozet
with the other
2000
crew
veriyor.
there.
3000
It's awesome to kind of see how
veriyor.
intense this region has been. You know, we had it
5000
in a East, in a West 5 last year, and now all these teams are back
Benim
together.
daha hesabım
It's led to a lot of
puanlarım.
intensity, and of course,
Dünya
this
birincisi
rivalry
kim şu an?
that could possibly be continued today between LG and S-Team, and is certainly going to be one to keep our eyes on.
Oh, buddy, there are some big storylines going on this month. Sorry, STMN. Just pulling up short there, which is a bit tough for them because they really did need those extra points last month. The Pioneers absolutely dominated them there in Bounty towards the end of the series. And they have cemented their spot as the top team in this region, which is a huge deal. Means they have locked in that world final spot. Now, Brady, talk to me about this, because this leaderboard is extremely complex. We have only 4 spots in the postseason, 2 for Worlds and 2 for LCQ. But our teams at 4th and 5th are tied on circuit points.
It's the biggest story of today. I think it can be summed up as basically ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We are ending the same way that we began, with Tribe Gaming, Luminosity, Stamina all possibly making a clinch for Worlds today. But ultimately, only one between Luminosity and Stamina can go on and make a postseason. Note that they are tied on points right now, but they'll have to face each other in the top half of the bracket. Not only that, but if they both go out in the quarterfinals, then Luminosity wins that tiebreaker by set win percentage. So Stamina absolutely have to beat Tribe Gaming and defeat Luminosity in the semifinals. Between Luminosity and Stamina can go on
So
and
that
make a
means
postseason.
we need
They
to
are
see
tied
STMN
on
in
points
the
right
grand
now.
final
They'll have
at
to
the very
face
least.
each other
The
in
Elevate, by
top
the way,
half of the bracket.
haven't locked
Not
in
only
that
that,
world
but if they
final
both
spot.
go out in the
They need to place
quarterfinals, then
ahead or the
Luminosity
same as
wins
Tribe.
that
And I
tiebreaker
hope that
by set
LG
win
or
percentage.
STMN don't
So
win.
Stamina
Otherwise, they'll be
absolutely
playing in
have
LCQ. They're
to
only
beat
ahead by
Tribe
20
Gaming
or
and
so
defeat
points here.
Luminosity in the
So there's a lot to
semifinals,
ask
and
for.
Luminosity
STMN and
and
LG
Stamina
either need to
can
win it
go
all
on
and hope
to
that
make a
Elevate
postseason.
win.
If
We
they
see
are
STMN
tied,
in the
they
grand
qualify
final
for
at the very
Worlds.
least.
They can
Elevate, by the way,
Not
which is
only
pretty
that,
insane
but
world
if they
final
both
spot.
go out in the
They need to
quarterfinals,
place
then
there is still
Luminosity
so much
is
up in the air
tied
this
on
month.
tiebreaker.
And nothing is decided until the final bell
So
rings.
Stamina
Otherwise, they'll
Every
be
team
playing
has something to
LCQ.
play
They're only ahead
for,
by
which is what's going
20
to
or
make
so
this
points
region, this
here.
monthly
So
final,
there's a lot to
so
ask for.
special. I'm
STMN and
just
LG
starting
either
to
need to
debate,
win it
are
all
we
and
going
hope
to
that
make
Elevate
this
win.
with
Or see STMN
I'll
in the
let you
grand
know that
final
might
at
be
the
the
very
most
least.
important matchup
Elevate,
of
by
the
the
two
way,
teams.
really
We're
insane
right now
world
looking for
final
the
spot.
stakes are high. A
There is
postseason
still so
rest
much
is
up in the air this month.
qualification.
Nothing is
Like
decided until the
for
final
Tribe. I
bell
mean, that
rings.
seems like something
Otherwise,
that
they'll
every
be
team should
playing
have. Just
LCQ.
again, that's what's going to make this region this very
So
final.
there's a lot to
So
ask for.
special. I'm
STMN and
just
LG
starting
either
to
need to
debate,
win it all
are we
and
going
hope
to
that
make
Elevate
this?
win.
Just blows my mind a little bit.
And let's set expectations. To be clear, we can't have both LG and STMN in the postseason. Only one
arkadaşlar,
of them
sitenin
can make it
linkini
either
size
into
atayım.
LCQ or Worlds, and that's tough to decide which one you want to see go through. I think let's talk our predictions here because I think we were very split, at least on this first match here. So myself and Kenny, I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm completely sold out for the STMN storyline. I have them going all the way here, so we're going to see that later on. But Ready, set, you feel like it's actually going to be Tribe that takes down STMN in quarters, which actually hasn't really been the way things have gone the last couple of times these two teams have faced off.
I've actually consistently throughout this year put my faith in Tribe to take this win over Stamina whenever they face, just because I think that they're a phenomenal team first and foremost, but I think also the stakes have changed a little bit this month, or at least the situation has. We see Fade joining the Tribe roster this time. Fade is someone who
maçı kim kazanacak? Bu kazanır, bu da burada kazanır. Tamam. Benim
before.
tahminlerim böyle. Şuradan bir de yandan ekran görebilsem var ya, çok güzel olacak işte. Göremiyorum değil mi bunu? Bir dakika. Heh, tamam. Şunun yorumu lazım bana. Bir dakika, ben bunu açamıyorum ki. Bana yorumun gözükmesi lazım. Bir dakika arkadaşlar, bunu bir halledelim hemen. Sen bana aldanma. Evet, gördüğünüz üzere adamlar anlatıyor işte. Ve maçımız başlıyor, ilk maçımız. Hadi bakalım. Sun dedi. Başlıyoruz. D Gaming STM. Burada biz D Gaming tutuyoruz. Ben de gaming'in kazanmasını düşünüyorum. Ama burayı tabii toplamda kazanmaları bence hep kazanır. Başladım.
It's kind of wild to think after the first month, Tribe came out swinging, a dominant victory, and we haven't quite seen them reach that peak again. This is such a talented roster, but now is the time where they're putting their faith in a great player like that. Fade, resume speaks for himself. But this is a big month, the last month of the entire year to try out a new rotation.
Maç başlamamış arkadaşlar, ben maç
başladı zannettim. I mean, the bracket gods just ending up putting these two teams against each other is going to make this a very memorable match.
Yeah, couldn't ask for much more than that, maybe, except for these two teams fighting in the grand final or something similar. But this region has changed so much recently. This year, we've seen such a raised level overall, and now there are teams like Pioneers and Elevate who are still...
Yenileyelim hemen sayfayı. Sayfayı yenileyelim. Sayfada bir şeyler olabiliyor bazen arkadaşlar. Sayfada sıkıntılar var. Hala bir kullanıcı izliyor ya. Birileri izlesin arkadaşlar ya, ne olacak sanki? Bir beni mi izlemiyorsunuz? Neyse, canınız sağ olsun. Şimdi size şurada gözüküyor değil mi? Bir dakika. Tamam, bir dakika kaldı. Bir dakika sonra ilk maçımız başlıyor.
But ready, we need to see more from Tribe Gaming. Let's talk about their opponents though, as STMN, they say, only the toughest soldiers get the hardest battles. That is basically what Bobby's been tweeting to the effect of over the last couple of months. And again, they now have a score to settle if they can make it to Worlds, because Meow's been talking some mad smack out there on Twitter about this team, and I'm sure they'll have nothing more than to shut him up and turn it into a documentary.
Got something to prove, and he is not going to be taking any of that flack sitting down. That said, this is not the first time that we've seen Stamina and Tribe face in the monthly finals, and we've seen STMN completely blow them out of the water in the past 3-0 style. Now, you say, though, that the toughest soldiers get the hardest battles. I think that Stamina have repeatedly had to face pretty much gauntlets if they want to make it all the way to a Grand Finals victory, which they have not managed to achieve this season just yet. Today could be the day, but this is only just where it begins. This is an incredibly vital match because it's really the prelude to whether they get the chance to knock out Luminosity and ascend to an LCQ qualification.
And it's a long off-season, right? These guys will be chilling for quite some time if they fail to make LCQ. Now, if they end up going to LCQ, not the end of the world. We've seen what STMN can do at an event of that magnitude. Last year, they swept the field and ended up qualifying for Worlds the hard way, yes. But when they got to Worlds, they were galvanized by the gauntlet they had run at that LCQ, and they made a brilliant run of their own, finding now second if they end up going to LCQ, which was not the end of the world, really. reminding everybody the power of North America, that a seed that wasn't even their number 1 or 2 could come through and make such a big difference. So here it's really about vibes. It's really about keeping the mood up and momentum going strong here, because STMN, straight off the bat, unless Luminosity stumble in the other quarterfinal to CT Esports and kind of let them over the line, they have to go basically in top gear straight out of the gates, Kenny.
If you're STMN, there's no other way to look at it. It's a must-win. Sure, the unthinkable might happen in quarterfinal number 2. You can't worry about that. Their job is one-fold, and that is to win the entire monthly finals. They've got to go all the way. This is a team that when they are backed into a corner, we've seen what they can do. And ultimately, when I'm debating between what is essentially a 50-50 for chat, like it was in my heart as well, we've seen what Stamina can do as an underdog, and that is a team I typically want to bet on if they're facing tougher odds.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen them overcome them before. This, though, is a challenge that falls much closer to home. Remember, Tribe to really secure their postseason potential need a strong showing here as well. They're not out of the woods yet. It's going to be Dueling Beetles hot zone to start us off. Reddy's going to step aside and check out what's going on in the B stream. We'll catch up with him later. But it's time to drill down here. Probably the most important match out of all the quarterfinals on your screen right now. And like Kenny said, you at home at event.brawlstars.com are very divided on this one. Let's jump in here. We've seen Dueling Beetles. We've seen Throwers abused pretty heavily by STMN, and Tribe love to play tanky brawlers on this map. We often see the Rosa for Zulan here.
This is an interesting WAP in general to start things out on. I think it's going to be a tone setter for sure. Last time these two teams faced off, it was a sweep, a 3-0 for STMN, which is part of the reason I think why I ultimately side on STMN. New roster member coming in here for Tribe to see what happens. Going to be an Amber as a first overall selection. Such a good brawler in this game right now. I think a very safe one in that left or right-hand lane. Just aiming down sight, just an easy tap of the button. You can cover up the map, and here comes the big man on the other end. It's going to be Frank kicking things off. If you've been asleep, if you've been under a rock, don't be surprised. This guy is unbelievable right now in the current meta.
And of course, his hypercharged super radiates in 360 degrees out from him, stunning his opponents. There are, of course, some unbreakable boxes here on Dueling Beetles, but you have to get basically entirely off the point in order to avoid being stunned up by that. Keep an eye out for that. STMN need to find a way to drag this Frank down before he strikes a lethal blow. And following him up here with Jesse, a great control brawler. Tribe have a very solid core to their composition.
Don't mind this start at all. You got a little bit of everything. However, that is going to be a fantastic answer into the Frank. Arguably the best one you can possibly have. Now you've got Amber that can run it down a little bit, get a little area control. Obviously, it's going to take a lot to shred through a Frank. That's going to be Colette's job. It makes things a little more dicey with something like a spawner coming in from Jesse. Colette's going to have to take time to kind of shoot one brawler at a time, if you will. And if there's a fourth on the field, makes things tougher. But this 4-5 turn, I mean, it's a powerful one for STMN. I think especially when you look at things like the push it star power in combination with just the sheer firepower that Meg brings to the table. I kind of mess with this composition. I think it's a pretty strong one.
Yeah, absolutely. You do have something that can anchor on the hot zone itself and be really hard to shift. You combine that with a very strong side laner at Amber and an answer to the Frank. And here comes Lou. Can't ask for much more than a brawler like this who excels at that zone control through super and also the instant freeze on that hypercharge. That is a very powerful setup, of course, and let's not forget that Jesse also boasts a hyperpower that makes Scrappy nigh unkillable, especially to someone like Colette. Two very strong, very well-rounded compositions here, and it's so interesting now that with Frank not getting banned, we're actually seeing tanks get first picks because of how powerful he is. Tribe valued him. It does open Frank up to being potentially counterpicked, but is the Colette going to be enough?
I think it very well could be, but I think this Lube checks a couple boxes. Not only is it going to play the mode well, that's super going to cover that zone. It is a great way to nearly outrange, I mean, at this point, now that we've got a Meg rework, and to slow her down as well. I mean, becoming a popsicle is not something that Meg wants to be. Looks like to start things off, though, it's going to be Fade taking on the left-hand side, dueling against Sans. Bobby Zulan in the mid. It's an immediate win for Bobby here.
That is huge. No chance to set up a turret here. Super going to be used by Tyrant on the point, and Bobby just kind of eats that stun. Doesn't want to give up too much percentage. But STMN have a healthy early lead. Sans, though, does have to give up the mech to do this. It looks like STMN are priced into cycling onto the point here. Tiny Collect used just to clear the spawner. Not ideal for Bobby, but it has to be done. Now Faye can play close with Super at the ready.
No mech and no positioning. This is a scary situation for S-Team, and with Frank lurking right there, Super being popped, not connecting, but does scare them off just a little bit. They have to make sure they're getting time of possession in this hot zone. Already a hypercharge on the right hand end. Tyrant shreds through him. Bobby looking to do the same on the other end. Zulon narrowly surviving, though, gets the pickup, and now Sands once again forced away. Great stop there by Tribe.
That is hypercharge gone now for Tyrant, but Fade has one of his own and he wants to throw it down. Zar's in danger, needs to get away from those breakable walls here, and eventually Fade does get chunked down, but not before Sands is picked up. So the Frank's out of the picture here. Bobby needs to come forward. Pops the hypercharge because he knows he needs to capture up on this capture percentage. Now he's built the super, but the hypercharge has already expired. Has to use time to collect just as Scrappy gets thrown down to avoid the slow that would have come out from the gadget use. And here comes Stans, now taking some space with that super swing, a huge amount of damage. And in the fire behind, Bobby comes to put Stamina back in the lead.
The second life getting Sands so much value there. Stamina now with 3 members on this hot zone looking fierce. Fade is going to have to get real up close and personal if he wants a chance. Zulon without a super. Tyrant without a super. This is troublesome for this side. Here comes the hypercharge. Does get the double stun. A takedown on the Bobby, but they need more. They're climbing to 90%, and now Tribe with an opportunity to respond.
Somehow Fade was able to walk away with that alive, and it was a pick-off on Bobby for STMN. Zar here pops the gadget, trying to affect Fade from the other side of the wall, and he's able to bring that Frank down. Zulon's in trouble. Time to collect. Takes him quite low. 95% and counting here for STMN, and Sands and Bobby are chilling. What an opener round. Such powerful comps, and both these teams are here and ready to play. But STMN feel like there might be a bit of destiny in the air.
It's a team of destiny kind of vibe for them for sure. We've seen it in years past, and I think that's a great opener. You want to settle in. This is a family kind of environment with these fellows. They've been together for a long time. I think I can see Bobby playing his hype music on the phone a little bit. That's something they love to do, and just getting in the mood. Acting like it's another day in the office, I think, important, and getting a good opening game win against a strong opponent who played quite well has to be a good confidence booster.
Straight back into it here once more. Sands
These fellas,
the matchup against Fade. He's knocked down a mech, but is still able to use that P-shoot at a good effect as Zulon gets collapsed on. A much stronger start here for STMN. Bobby and Sands ready to rumble as there's another time to collect available.
This just goes to show how good Sands can be on this brawler. Meg is something with that second life, just charging at Fade because of the star power choice. Knows he can run it down and do extra damage even if he's removed from that mech. Now they've got the flank going. Tyrant with good shots though. They need a lot more though. They're down 40-5 and they're gonna have to do something special to make a comeback.
Gotcha gadget pop there for Bobby, gives him the durability to hang on. That is, like you mentioned, a very healthy lead. Sands though can't quite walk out of that super and gets caught by Fade, whose fire rate at that low health is frankly terrifying. Zar needs to juke a little bit here. Gadget pop, gonna be caught inside though. That hypercharge power from Zulon and frozen instantly. Sands just touched it for an instant and was frozen solid as well. Bobby has super available, looks to try and pressure Tyrant down, but didn't really get much purchase there on Tribe.
This is unbelievable positioning coming in from Tribe. They've got so many mechanisms to take over, and now that right hand wall is opened up, this changes things a lot. It's going to be a much more wide open fight. That Lou Ice Rig not being used for the inside. It's going outside. Gadget popped, swiping away. Fade grabs one, goes down on the second try, though. The flamethrower from Zar just enough. It's going to push Zulon and Tyrant away here, too, and now they're out of utility.
And they're going to catch up. STMN now even at 64% each. Hypercharge available here for Bobby. All of STMN get out of that Lou super. Fade going to get brought down, but Bobby not lucky enough. Even with the shield coming off, the super still is brought down. But no one's on the point right now. Zar's going to get stunned up, and Sands is going to step right in, but only for a couple seconds. STMN might need to start cycling ballers here onto the point to keep this going. It's a narrow lead, but it may dwindle if Bobby gets taken down. It's a big super, but Fade is still standing with hypercharge available.
This battle between Ice and Fire has been interesting the whole set. Right now, it's advantage Tyrant. Ice Rink on the ground. Sands just trying to avoid it. Zar tiptoeing his way forward, creeping along this hot zone and popping a gadget here too. STMN trying to anchor themselves down on this.
Here it comes.
Zulon popping a hypercharge too. Fade with a takedown as well. 10% lead. Turret on the ground. Zar overwhelmed at this point. They still have to find a way on top of this though.
I've got to get rid of Scrappy. He's such a problem. Bobby even using the super to try and get rid of him, but Sands is still standing, albeit out of mech. Another hypercharge there for Tyrant, but that super doesn't catch on to anyone. Now it's even again. STMN have got themselves into a slim lead, and Bobby needs to avoid those shots coming in from the Jesse. Fade with a super. Would love to let it go, but Zara is respecting it. Spacing out from the Frank and brings him down. Now STMN throw themselves on the point. They realize they might just have gone and done it. Unbelievable STMN. What a way to start this series. Take the first set in straight games, but my God, it was close.
Just gotta take a deep breath. That was one set, Uber.
Oh,
That was set
I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this, bro.
I mean, that's the most intense set of Hot Zone all around that I think I've ever seen. That game mode has so much potential for fluctuation. And these two teams hunkered down and just gave it everything they got. This is exactly what we wanted to see this month.
There are
two teams that we know are deserving, are capable of a postseason. It's wild to think that one of them might not make it there, and it's clear that they both know that.
There is something completely different.
I mean, that's the most intense set of Hot Zone all around that I think I've ever seen. That game mode has so much potential for fluctuation. These two teams hunkered down and just gave it everything they got. This is exactly what we wanted to see this month. There are two teams that we know are deserving, are capable of a postseason. It's wild to think that one of them might not make it there. Both these teams have really done their homework. Obviously, Lou could have even been a candidate for the other side. The most intense set of Hot Zone all around that I've ever seen. Approach this with so much potential for fluctuation. Tyrant and Swan slow down or using the ice rings. And we wanted to see Jesse with strategy. Teams that we know are deserving are capable of a postseason. I feel like this is one of them might not make it there. Both these teams have really done their homework. Obviously, Lou could have even been a candidate for the other side. The game is about how well here is going all around that I've ever seen. Close all around. I mean, this potential for fluctuation.
Line Sandy, obviously available to be picked up here. Surge, though, being prioritized.
Wow, this is an interesting one. So monthly qualifiers, this is one that got a decent amount of love. One of the more winning brawlers. Had about a 53% win rate, but in terms of frequency was actually pretty up there. Had a pick rate of 18%, which believe it or not is pretty high when you look at the sheer amount of brawlers that we have in the game right now. This is a first